For our faux empire waist tutu, I'm using a 22-inch waistband, and I'm going to work with this dress form. Now, if you want more information on that, you can check out your manual. If you don't have one, that's fine. You could just wrap this around paper towels, and I have a picture of that in the manual too. So I have a 22-inch waistband, and actually, since this is an empire waist, it's going to go right under where the armpits are across the chest. This is 22 inches, and I've already cut my tulle. I'm using 50-inch strips of tulle, and this took about 6 rolls because it's so long. Now this is our faux empire waist tutu, so we're going to just start and make our tutu, and then we're going to add the empire waist after. Just going to wrap your tulle right around there. Make sure your ends are even. Now you could do this one of 2 ways. You can then just take it like that, put a nice knot in it, or you can use the U-shaped knot. And just remember, when you're making that knot, you want the knot to be along the bottom there, and you don't want it to scrunch up your elastic. Now, since this one is a nice long one, I'm actually going to double knot it, and then just make sure my knot is at the bottom there. Taking the next piece of tulle, just going to go right up next to it. Do the exact same thing. I'm pulling it out here, making sure they're exactly even, and then double knotting that. Now this is just really simple. We're just going to keep doing this until we've used up all our tulle. Now we're just going to keep going. And don't worry if they're not close enough together yet. We will push them together in a little bit. Just keep working around. And remember, we're working around this. This isn't our waistband. This is actually just an underarm band, you can say, because it's going to be a dress. I'm going to keep double knotting these. I'm going to get a whole bunch more onto this elastic, and then I'll show you the next step. Now our tutu is coming along quite nicely, but it is pretty sparse. Now to make thick and fluffy tutus, I'm going to suggest this every time. You're going to take these and just push them along. Now if it's easier, you can go ahead and take it off of your form. Push that aside. And what you want to do is just push all of these together, okay? Because we do want about 5 to 6 strips per inch, and we don't want any of this waistband showing. So we're just going to carefully slide these together. And I'm doing this when I'm about halfway through, or it looks like I'm halfway through filling up my elastic. Now, some of these might catch a little bit. If the tulle catches, just do it very carefully. You can just slide a couple at a time. And you want to make sure that all your knots are lined up. Now we can go ahead and fix this better at the end as well, but just keep pushing them together. And look at how much more space it created on our waistband. Now this is so much more fluffier and full. So what we're going to keep doing is adding more of these, and then when it looks like we're about halfway through again, we're going to go ahead and push them together. So this is full and the waistband is not showing. Again, we want 5 to 6. I usually plan for 5. If you have extra, you can do 6. 5 knots per inch all the way around the tutu band. So we have a long ways to go now to add some more strips to make this complete. Now once again, when we're about 50% of the way through, or 75%, it's fine, whatever you choose, you're going to slide these down. Remember, you don't want them to lay on top of each other, just side by side, and you don't want any waistband showing. So go around to both sides and make sure you scoot them over so that our waistband is completely full with those beautiful tutu knots. And now we have much more room on our elastic. Again, this is just to make sure that we have a really fluffy and pretty tutu. So I'm going to keep going until the waistband is completely filled with all of our tulle, and then I'll show you the next step. Now the last part to our faux empire waist tutu is to cut a piece of satin ribbon. Now the piece I'm using is 85 inches long because I want some nice tails as I wrap this around. So all we're going to do is bring this down a few inches. Now, depending on the size of your girl, it's probably going to be just a few inches down. This is going to go just above her waist because it's an empire waist. Okay, just going to turn this over to the back. And we're just going to take this ribbon, make a nice knot in it. And then you can just play around with this if you need to bring down that little bit more. And we want our tails to be even, so I'm going to slide this over just a bit more. Once we have our tails even, we can make a nice bow in the back here. Tie just a basic bow. Okay, so once you have the bow tied in the back, you want to come to the front, and we're just going to make sure that this is sitting nice and pretty all the way around the front. Now, just some tips, like if you're using this for a holiday or a wedding or something and you want it to stay in place, what you can do is take some safety pins and just go ahead and pin it from the back side here, just in a couple places over to the side, and then that will make sure that it stays. Now this is just a beautiful and easy way to make the empire waist tutu, and it just turns out so perfect. I just love it.